Hi, my name is Sue Charman Anderson, and I've been learning Welsh for quite a long time now. In this series of videos, I'm exploring some of the lessons that I've learned about learning languages and sharing them in the hope that they'll help you on your learning journey. In this episode, I am going to explore one of my more contentious opinions, which is that I think we're doing grammar all wrong. Now, if you go onto pretty much any language learning forum on the internet, you will find a large number of people begging for ideas about how to learn a language without studying grammar. And in reply, you'll get a whole bunch more people saying, yes, you can learn a language without learning grammar. Even if you learn grammar, it will damage your ability to learn the language. And honestly, this is all nonsense. Um, However you learn a language, you will end up learning some grammar. Whether you do it deliberately or not is by the by. But that said, I do get it. I do understand why people don't like the idea of learning grammar. Um, I think there are three key reasons why we feel like this. The first one is at the mere mention of grammar, we go back to school. We are back in that language learning classroom, maybe not understanding what the teacher is asking us, not really understanding the details of the exercise, not really getting it, and maybe sitting there feeling a little bit stupid. And that nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be made to feel stupid. So if that's your relationship with grammar, for a long time that was my relationship with grammar, then totally get it. Like you just want to avoid that stuff. Secondly, I think there is a huge amount of jargon involved in learning a language. It's almost like you have to learn a whole new language just to learn the language you want to speak. And that seems daft. All of that jargon is developed over the years, and it's really for linguists and grammarians to talk precisely about language. None of it was designed with learners in mind. It's not for us. So again, it's just this confusing morass of new terminology that we don't understand and that we have to really work hard to wrap our heads around. And again, maybe it makes you feel stupid. Kind of makes me feel stupid sometimes. Don't like it, want to avoid it. And I think the third issue with grammar is that we view it as a set of rules that we need to memorize and apply. And ain't no one got time for that. Honestly, I mean, you're not going to sit there in the middle of a conversation and suddenly go, "Ooh, should there be a mutation here? Which mutation is it? Which letters are affected by this mutation? Which letters do they turn into after they've been mutated? Aha, now I will use the correct mutation." Like, no, that does not happen. We do the best that we can with what we've got. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake. If we get mutations right, fantastic. If we don't, move on. Doesn't matter. People will still understand us. So I think a lot of this, really, when you boil it down, it comes to grammar makes us feel dumb. And that's a shame because grammar is actually super useful. And I think if we reframe how we think of grammar, if we just change our mindset around grammar, then we can make it much more accessible to ourselves and we can really benefit from studying grammar explicitly rather than just hoping that watching enough TV will eventually teach us mutation rules. So I think there are three keys to changing how we think about grammar. And the first one is to think of it as a set of skills to master. If you think about anything that you enjoy doing, any hobby that you've got, maybe you play sport, maybe you craft, maybe you play computer games, anything that you do, you did not go in at a high level. You did not start with all of the skills that you need to be good at what you do. You started off at the beginning, like everyone else. You learned a skill, you perfected it, you moved on to the next one, you learn the next one, You built up your library of skills until you could do the thing that you want to do at a level that makes you happy. Language is no different. Grammar basically is a list of skills that you need to master in order to be fluent. It's basically like Pokemon. You have to collect all of these skills in order to level up, and thinking of it like that makes it much more approachable. Secondly, let's ditch this idea that grammar is all about rules. It's not. It's about how those rules are used. So if we can memorize and internalize how these rules are used so that it springs to mind whenever we need it, we can forget the rule. We can forget kind of being able to explain the rule. You know, there's a ton of rules that I know instinctively in English, and I could not explain them to you, even if someone paid me good money for it. But I have an instinctive understanding of when something is right and when it's wrong. And that's what we're trying to get with Welsh. We're trying to get to a point where we just instinctively know whether something is right or wrong. And thirdly, I think it's less haste, more speed. So instead of just charging through courses and trying to just nail down as much as you can as fast as possible, it's take a slower view of things. Really dig deep into what the applications of a particular piece of grammar are. How is it used? Let's practice it in context. Let's look for it when we read or when we watch TV. It's kind of like, yes, you know, as soon as you start to recognize that rule in action, then that's when you're starting to truly internalize it. Because I don't expect anyone else to memorize a fact the first time they hear it. I shouldn't expect myself to memorize a rule and be able to apply a rule the first time I come across it. It takes time and it takes effort, and that's okay. I think if we make peace with that and we move more slowly through our learning materials and we learn more thoroughly, in the long run, we'll actually learn faster. If I'd done all of this stuff 20 plus years ago when I started learning Welsh, I absolutely would be fluent now. But I avoided grammar for so long that I've gotten to the point where I have these big holes in my knowledge because I didn't sit down and put the donkey work in. Obviously, grammar should not be the only way that we learn. You need to have a varied set of activities that you're doing: speaking, reading, listening. All of these things are equally important. But grammar study, explicit grammar study, should play a role. And I think once you start to feel like you are conquering grammar, it does amazing things for your confidence because you're not going to second guess yourself. Once you have internalized it, it's there forever. So you won't have to keep going back and refreshing your memory. And again, I can promise you that learning something thoroughly is way more effective than learning it at a surface level and muddling through, because that's basically what I've done for quite a long time now. If this all sounds quite good to you and you're an intermediate learner, then Amestin is my structured practice course, which starts you off with making sure that you've got all of the auxiliary verbs nailed down, and then takes you through listening, reading, and writing exercises so that you can truly internalize the grammar that you're learning. A lot of courses don't do this. A lot of courses just sort of introduce you to a concept and then skip on to the next one, and they don't give you the room or the tools to practice. So if you like the sound of that, there's a link in the description. But my main takeaway from what I've learned over the last few years, especially, is that grammar is not the enemy. Grammar is your friend. Embrace grammar, learn it properly, and you really will supercharge your Welsh learning.